Hello everybody, and today is the day! When's your Domio day? No, when is Banquet Day? Banquet Day is here. It's today. The Banquet Event is later on today. I think we're all, excited. As I said, for me, whether or not you like it or dislike it, the Banquet Event is still a bit of fun. It is an opportunity to get the Deathless Guillotine piece of a 7-star variety, and we're going to see a deep dive of that. We'll kind of look over some gameplay footage later on today. Hopefully I've had enough time to record some content on that. But yeah, keep locked on the channel. I want to say a massive thank you to everybody that's supporting the Banquet Event playlist tab. The spreadsheet should have gone out to everybody, so Google Drive, it's in the link of most of the videos. It was on the community tab, hopefully last night. It was in the Discord, so the Banquet Event Discord room, and we've completed a lot of the stuff. There's going to be some more video guides coming out, but all of that is in the spreadsheet, the Google Drive spreadsheet, and any accompanying videos will be going into topics and kind of showing some visualizations of stuff, just so, so it's not a case you're not looking at something. You can look at something, but also I'm going to, cover stuff. Anyway, let's get into the MCN, the news, information, important stuff, and things to keep you informed in. So first of all, I want to kick off with this. So shout out to Shu for sending through this right here. This is really interesting. So, well, actually, I don't know if anybody thinks it's interesting, but at the moment, Kabam are running ads. I think they're doing a lot of sponsored-based content at the moment, whether or not it's in shorts form or not. You can see here that I think this person's called Redberry or something, that is doing an advert for it. Whether or not you're interested or not, on the TikToks, which you can see. These mean on the TikToks. And as well, somebody else has been doing it. Jaw Raptor is doing a piece of like sponsored based thing. And look, this is good. This is good. If what Kabam are doing is they're kind of going into the modern age to try and, get new people to get interested around the game. And look, maybe it's a case we get more new players. I think it's important to get new players into the game. Kabam obviously know that. They've got a lifespan. I'm sure the game will continue on for a long amount of time, providing people are willing to kind of spend a bit of money. But of course, they need new players to play. Some people reach a certain point and get bored with the game. I've seen people at New York Comic Con play for about 1 minute, do this on the screen, get nowhere, and never take up the game any time after that. So yeah. And of course, that's important to mention if you kind of like. And of course, it's important to mention if you do see any of those adverts out on the TikToks or anywhere else for that matter. Anyway, we've got to move on to the Kabam John Q&A. Really interesting, some interesting insights. I'm not going to go like there's not a huge amount, not like yesterday. No, is it yesterday? Monday's live stream was incredibly spicy, and there was lots of like key information which we've been kind of like talking about and picking up on. So some of my notes from this, and as I said, there's not a huge amount to kind of like go over with it, but yeah, some of those particular infos are. So Kabam said the potential buffs in the future, or Kabam John said there could be on the radar a buff for Thanos, but do bear in mind we got a Deathless Thanos coming, so kind of like would there be any kind of like point, because technically he is going to be well, be a better version of it. Kingpin is overtuned. That's coming from Kabam John himself. He rank 5'd him and found that was the case. Kabam staff are using internal data as to their rank up persuasions, and as well finding out top counters for stuff. Look, here's the thing, people can do their guides and breakdowns and stuff, but of course Kabam see the data. If they know that one specific type of champion is performing well against some piece of content, then of course it's kind of like, hey, this is knowledge here to go, 10,000 plus people use this champion for this particular content. Oh, I guess that means that is good, and that's kind of the story of that. Hulkling is one of the highest used champions in the in different modes like Battlegrounds, for example. I think we knew that one, but that's interesting enough. And live PvP would simply not work. If you want a bit of a live representation of that, go to Dave and Buster's, where you're just battling your mates. And the kind of concept of it was really interesting, because I think Kabam John had a very good kind of like explanation for it as to why we'll never see live PvP. And in that, if you kind of like, if you're both swiping medium at the same time, what's going to happen? You're both going to ricochet like unstoppable each time. If you suss each other, it's going to be either very one-sided, especially depending on connection, because it will be live, live play, live fighting. So there will be lag. This is why a lot of times fights in the gaming world are done on LAN. So if you don't know that, Smash tournaments, Tekken tournaments, Street Fighter tournaments, arcade games, that's where it's held, because, hey, there's no lag when it's in person. Now, onto something that kind of like came up from Monday's stream, and that was this whole kind of like removing units from Arena. I don't think Kabam were really ready for kind of like the level of responses to this, as yeah, it was kind of like, it's like cutting, as I've said before, sometimes Kabam do this where they cut a fart in a room, leave, and you're there just with the smell and have to wait a little while for Kabam to come in and just open up a window or spray Febreze or a well, not Febreze, a kind of like air freshener or whatever. That's how I've kind of described it in the past. So yeah, it was mentioned by Kabam Crashed on Monday's stream about the idea that at some stage there will be, they're still thinking about it, the idea of taking units from Arena and putting it into another place in the game. And that may be something, that won't go down too well. On that particular question mark, it was then asked in a poll, which 282 people voted for, so a lot of people voted. Removing units in Arena, yes, remove units. I only do Arena for units, 23%. Yes, revamp Arena with new rewards, no units, 9%. No, I like grinding Arena for units, 28%, 79 votes. No, don't change Arena, which, I don't know, this seems to be very much kind of leveled in a kind of like a pro Arena type approach, if anything. But look, at times like this, it's important when Kabam do cut that fart to and again come back into the room and empty a window, open a window in order to kind of like get that level of response. And as Noob Master said, the added context is Kabam John was on the stream earlier today, and they got to talking about units in Arena. According to John, the reason Thronebreak Event Quest does not have any units, do bear in mind, I don't think Cavalier has units as well, is because the majority of unit budget is being put into Arena, that he has been thinking about potential shifting those units from Arena and putting them elsewhere. But yeah, it's not an official kind of like an answer for Kabam, but obviously from a designer standpoint, they're kind of spitballing and talking about it. So don't try that. Obviously, I've taken it kind of away and go like, oh, he said this, but technically he has. Look, it's weird, isn't it? Because then, well, what happens when it comes to like last month or this kind of like, anniversary month? We got given an extra 330 units. So how does that make any sense? Does a budget get increased at certain times? Also, the other thing, when it comes to like the Platinum Pool events. With the Platinum Pool events, the Banquet Event, milestones, and various different places, we've probably had, in theory, about 2,000 units injected into the game. So how does that make sense? To go, right, well, there's a unit budget. Okay, fine, there's a unit budget. We can't give you any more. But you gave us, and you will give us a lot at these particular times. I mean, look, they gave us 1,150 units over the course of X amount of months for the gold track. So it must be a case there is and there isn't unit thresholds that can be given out. And maybe the budget for that is kind of like, okay, well, every year the player base gets allocated about, I don't know. Again, I'll spitball. Say there's potentially 60,000 units to maybe 20,000 to 80,000 units free-to-play players can access if they do everything that appears for it. And again, I'm talking about the gold tracks, the solo events, the banquet event milestones, the platinum pool based events that come up, the events like the unbreakable arenas, or not unbreakable, well, yeah, unbreakable arenas, and as well the kind of celebration arenas. All those things, as well as things that can drop in the Legends crystals, or not Legends crystals, but all the other different crystals that drop, arena crystals, or well, that's more RNG. But there are places out there where it drops, like the daily crystal, for example. A chunk of units can drop from that. Happened to me the other day. So look, when it comes to this, there are some question marks I think I always have with these particular situations of going, well, what is the budget? I'd love to know what the budget would be for units, and Is it certain times of the year that we can only get out those particular things? As I said, good example is Gold Track, and another good example is the Banquet Event, and as well a good example is the Unbreakable Arenas, and as well Celebration Arenas as well. But there's obviously a lot more to this. And at times like this, we've got to go to Kabam for the answers to this question. So Kabam Mike said, adding a little more context here, this was a thought that one of our team members had, and he had it clear that it was his opinion only, and not necessarily the opinion of the whole team. We have no plans to remove units from the arena at this time. That person is probably there like, why are people so mad at me? Man, that is that. Oh dear. His thinking here is that we could spread those units to more places where people play often. Some players love Arena, some players don't. By the way, I really like Arena, but I like it in a different way that other people don't. Like, I will quite happily watch a movie and play Arena on, like, if I've got time, like midweek, or well, it's very little time midweek, but you know, it's squeezing in. If I go for a walk, I try and play a little bit of Arena. You know, streaming, I used to stream a lot. Not so much nowadays. Hopefully I can get back to doing a bit of streaming this coming weekend and do a bit of arena farming. But that's the same case for every other aspect of the game, so that's also something to take into account. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting to note that that's the case, that just to clear things up on all of that. And next up, and on to, and finishing off actually the show with the most ballsy modder slash hacker there is. Now, I would say that I'm re-recording this because I realized that the mod is actually revealed in the actual image itself. So yeah, I'm not going to show that because people would go and search stuff, which is hey, you know, don't do that, don't lose accounts. However, though, this one's pretty ballsy because he says, or they say, I enjoy using mod menu in game and never been punished for doing so. By the way, I don't use mods against real people, if you're wondering. See, they've got a fine line with how they do it, how they use it. So they won't ever use it in certain situations, except, you know, they won't use it against people, against you and me. They'll definitely use it when it comes to everything else in game. A hacker with a conscience. I did not have that on my 2023 bingo card, and it's about to end. So what is going to be my thing for next year? They of course do give their what is it, like alliance tag, as many people pointed out. But yeah, blurred out your name but not your clan and profile. Don't worry, the screenshot's old. Don't worry about either. I have multiple accounts that will probably get banned. Like, do people actually want to make progress in this game without kind of using cheats and stuff like that? They can literally get those too. I know how to bypass it. Anyway, someone knows how to bypass your anti-cheat. It should make great data to improve before you roll out. You mentioned earlier next year, assuming they're telling the truth. True. Okay. This is mad giving off teacher pet vibes. Oh, blah 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 blah. These people are blah 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 blah. You won't because I make new ones. I make new accounts. Isn't that a bit boring though, to just kind of like constantly do that? I don't know, like, if I was, I'd be like incredibly bored. It's incredibly sad because the game must live rent-free in this person's head. They're like, oh, I must kind of like, I must hack this game constantly. Play a different game. Weird. This is weird. It's so cringy as well. I know what I'm doing, nor do I care about the constant consequences of my actions. In a mobile game, repeating the same thing, making accounts that are kind of, oh man. There must be some other nefarious means to what this person's doing, because otherwise it's sad that this game lives rent-free in this person's mind. Because there's like just like constant kind of back and forths here, and they also got banned. For those wondering why I waste my time, I truly not. I have two phones, and my old phone I don't even use, so I use to mod because why not? I'm not even playing most of them. Oh god, the game does live rent-free in this person's head. That is so sad. Yeah, well, you know, I do mod the game, but, you know, I don't actually care about the game. Why did you mod the game then? I honestly, like, I'm going to try to change my stance. This is probably the most pathetic modder there is, because it's just, why? Anyway, Anyway, I think it's most likely breaking to blah 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 blah. Anyway, this is when Kabam kind of like step in, and obviously they get banned. What is happening in these forums right now? I know. Yeah, first time, yeah. So, honestly, did not have this on my hacker-based coverage bingo card for 2023. I didn't think maybe this will be. Hopefully, this will be the last time I'll cover this. Like hacking stuff, like mod stuff in 2023 until it kicks off in 2024, where people will be banned for hacking in the games, get units for Banquet Event. And you never know. Actually, you never know. There may be one other story, at some point that somebody does something with a Banquet Event or there's an exploit or something. It's a crazy topsy-turvy game that lives in people's heads rent-free. In any case, that's been the show. Thank you very much for watching. Check out some other content located on screen. Big day. Look out for Banquet Event guide and stuff later on. Cheers, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.